So this is a response to the Amazing Atheists, the Muslim paradox. And I agree with you, TJ. The situation is insane. Now, if you can't tell, I'm from the UK. Now, we're very lucky in the fact that we're sort of separate from the rest of Europe, literally and now figuratively. But that's another point for another day. What you said in your video was we only had two options. And those options were we either A, jeopardize our values of free speech and freedom of religion by almost censoring and banning Muslims, or we accept that these are our core values and we allow terrorists to happen. Now, I think that is the best option to go with. Now, I'm not condoning these terrorist actions. These are terrible things that these people have done, and the rest of the Muslim population in Europe agrees with me on this. Now, I'm not Muslim, I'm an atheist, but they agree. I have Muslim friends, I have Sikh friends. I went to university in Leicester. That's one of the most diverse places I think in the UK there is, next to, outside of London. And I have friends of both those nationalities. I have friends who, even though they have different religions, they hang out. Even though both their religions say they cannot drink, they still drink. And they are allowed to do that because we have freedom of religion. We have freedom of speech. And ISIS's goal, and all these Muslim terrorist groups' goal, at the end of the day, is they want to change that. They want to create that fear. Because the best way for them to have terrorists is not to send them over from Syria or Iraq or Afghanistan, but it is to home grow them. Every single terrorist attack we have seen for the past couple of years in Europe has not been from someone that has been sent over. They have pretty much all been homegrown terrorists who have lived and been born and brought up in this society. But the problem is, they've encountered fear and racism because of terrorist attacks. And they have been looked on and suspected constantly. And is it any surprise that they turn to terrorism? Because ISIS and all these groups are saying how evil and terrible the West is. And that if you go to the West, you will be demonized. And that this is what the West, this is what, they are trying to do to us in the East. So is it any reason that these terrorist attacks happen? Now, you're not going to stop every single terrorist attack 100%, because you're never going to be able to stop that single lone crazy madman or that group that decides they're going to attack. It's impossible. And that is the risk we have to take. And that is why I support Angela Merkel's decision to keep her immigration policy as it is. It sends a message to not only ISIS but to the rest of the Muslim world, is that we do not hate you. What we hate are the ones that preach your hatred of us and that are trying to do damage to us. Those are the ones we hate. We don't hate you. And one of the things that I think that will happen, because we have freedom of speech and freedom of the religion in the West, is I think you will see the reformation of Islam happen in some country in the West. Not in the East, but in the West. Because we have those two things, and that we highly prize those two things. And because of that, I think we will see a reformation. And when that happens, I think we're even in for a worse time. But when that seed happens, we must support it.